In our programs, we'll often do some calculations that result in lots of different decimal places, or maybe some complex print functions, or print statements rather. And we're going to have a look in this video at how we can format that output and structure it in a way that's really easy to use and efficient. To do this, we use a concept of string formatting, where you have your normal print function, then you have your brackets at the start and the end, you have your string, and in the middle of the string you use these curly brackets. And these take the place of the values that you want to insert into your string. So in this case we've got 95 price, and then we've got a dollar symbol and our curly brackets. Following the quotes you have a full stop and then format, and then in this case the UN95 represents a variable name. So what will happen here is this variable, the value in this variable, will be inserted into this string in the place of these curly brackets. This is another example, this time with two sets of curly brackets and two variables in the format function here. So again, we've got our print function, we've got a string inside of it, dot format, and then the variables in the same order that we want them to appear in these in place of these curly brackets. And this concept becomes really powerful when we're trying to round the output to a certain number of decimal places, or improve the formatting of our output. And we can do this quite simply by putting this syntax here inside our curly brackets. So everything else is the same. You have dot format, the variable over here, and this variable will be put into this position here and formatted in this case to 2 decimal places. So we have the colon, then dot to F. So you can imagine if you change the 2, you'll get the appropriate number of decimal places as you go. So we're now going to apply this concept of string formatting to our previous example using constants. So what we want to do here is make sure that our output isn't so long like this and is actually rounded down to 2 decimal places, so we should have 16.67. The first thing I'm going to do, just to make this a little bit more simple, is to actually do this calculation that we've got in the output here before we get to our print function. So I'll change the name, well, I'll create a new variable here called final price, and I'll just paste in the calculation that we had there. So all this is doing the calculation earlier, storing it in a variable name which we can use there just to make the steps a little bit clearer as to how they work. So if I run that now, you still get the same result. Okay, so now I want to apply that string formatting concept. So what I need to do inside this string is I'm going to put in my dollar symbol because it's a dollar amount. I've got my curly brackets. I'm going to delete that comma out, right, dot format, and in the brackets for our format function is going to be the name of this variable. So this variable here will be placed in where those curly brackets are. So if we run this, we'll get the same output that we had before because we haven't put the special syntax inside here, which of course is colon dot to F. Now if I run it once more, we now have the appropriate output rounded to 2 decimal places. You can experiment with the numbers that you've got here, change it to 1, and it's rounded to 1 decimal place, and so on. Okay, so experiment with this idea in your own programs. Make sure you can get it rounding, get your output rounding to the appropriate number of decimal places, because it's really important when you have your programs up and running that they look professional, they look nice and clean, and your output is appropriate.